Well, let's move now to the United States and that latest edition of the Harvard-Capps-Harris poll this weekend, surveying American political views across various age groups, which had some eye-opening results when it came to attitudes regarding Israel and its war against Hamas. For example, while support for Israel across the general population remains strong, with 81% favoring it over Hamas, that number drops dramatically and alarmingly as you go younger, with support split evenly between Israel and Hamas in the 18 to 24-year-old age group. And there were similar results on even such basic questions as Israel's right to exist. Well, joining us is a member of that generation,
yes.
That younger generation, Ysabella Hazan. She's a Jewish activist and law graduate, founder of Decolonized, excuse me, I'm losing my English, Isabella. Decolonized Judean movement, and lives in Montreal, was raised in Montreal, but your roots are in this region and in Israel as well.
Making Aliyah soon.
And making Aliyah soon. But you are one of that group of young influencers, speaking out on college campuses, also on your social media platform. First of all, tell us, since you've been in Israel, what you've seen and been doing here on your trip here.
First of all, being in Israel, I'm so happy to be back home, even in a time of war. I feel safer in Israel than anywhere else, in the world. Even in a time of war, Israel is a place to be because we're sovereign over this land, and just that sense of security, I can say that I feel at home always. This trip has been full of volunteering, also hearing so many stories that I wanted to shine a light on. I spoke with Shali Shem Tov, the mother of Omer Shem Tov, who's still a hostage in Gaza. Read Tehillim with her, was so powerful. I volunteered on IDF base, have the barbecue, see the soldiers there, what mentions, and doing such great work, seeing the morale, the unity. And yesterday I went to Sheba Medical Center, and to hear the stories, it was so powerful to see the sacrifices and the unity. And I wanted to share a story about that happened yesterday. I spoke with Aaron. Aaron was a soldier in Gaza. He was a reservist. He came out of his daily civilian life. He worked at a startup. He's 33 years old. He was in Tzuk war. He was brought in on October 30th for the war against Hamas. He had injured his leg, and he had lost his commander at war. And as he was telling me his story, he was saying how Hamas was shooting at them from an UNRWA building. And hearing that story, hearing about the details, the live fire, how it was like, how he had to move, how he had to crawl for shelter, I know that the fight that we're fighting is just, because even if the whole world, world institutions, the UN, is not as active as they should be, the Red Cross is not doing their part or not close to it, this is the struggle that we need to be talking about. Israel's story, how no matter what the minority, the majority is not always right. Us as the minority, in terms of telling our story, I'm so proud to share it always.
Right. Well, you're one of those people telling that story on social media, especially to young people on Instagram. But let's talk about the results of that poll, those numbers. 50% support for Hamas among your age group there in the United States. You speak out on college campuses. I mean, how deep does that run? I mean, how deep is the problem? Is that something that's going to change as people getting older, or what has to be done to change those attitudes?
So that change is up to us. I'll divide this question, my answer, into two ways: what we can do and what's happening. So I'll start with what's happening, the external factors. We see that there is a well-funded machine on campus from Qatar, from foreign countries, giving money to campuses in order to push their agenda, most of it anti-Israel. Qatar gave $5.2 billion, not million, $billion to college campuses. The Department of Education was forced to release these numbers. They had no choice. We saw $151 million donated to Cornell alone. This is a well-funded machine. We see AJ Plus, Al Jazeera, a Qatar-funded media outlet. We see TikTok, which is not a neutral platform, pushing their algorithm, denying Jewish influencers the right to be on the algorithm equally. We saw in May 2021 the hashtag Israel was blocked. There is a well-funded strategic machine to silence our voices online and also to push an agenda on campuses. So there is this really well-funded machine that's happening. And what were we doing in the meantime while this was happening? We were asleep at the wheel. Of course, there's so many amazing efforts, but we need to be united in our efforts in order to fight this. And this brings me back to what we could be doing. And to really unpack this statistic, my generation, 18 to 24 years old, this is the young generation. The young generation is always going to lean towards fighting for justice. We are the change makers. Gen Z is very idealistic, humanistic. So when we are not articulating our story properly as Israel, as a people of Israel, as Jews, then it is normal for, of course it's not normal to support Hamas, a terrorist organization that has done unspeakable crimes to the Jewish people. I actually viewed the video of the 47-minute video that was shown to journalists, and I still get nightmares from it. It was absolutely traumatic. So not at all to minimize the atrocities of Hamas, but to get back to my point regarding my generation, when we don't articulate our story and they see Hamas as freedom fighters, it's no surprise. We have when we see anti-Israel content online, and our response is, but if you were to walk like that out in Gaza, Hamas would kill you. Or if look at Israel, we support gay rights. Of course, gay rights is great. We support that. Of course, women's rights is great. But when we fight Israel, anti-Israel hate or anti-Jewish hate by telling the world, look how great we are, we're not getting to the root of the issue. They're asking us why we have a right to exist. So no matter how amazing we are and how we try to prove ourselves useful or how great we are, we're not answering the question. We are an indigenous people. We originate from Israel. Our rights to this land run deep. We're from this land. We are Israel. And that's why I also came here to volunteer, not to stand in solidarity with the people of Israel, but I am Israel. I'm here because I am connected to this land and rooted to this land very deeply.